And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 39 of A Druid's Dozen. My name's John. Some people call me the Rock Druid. And basically I'm a bit of a radio DJ. Have a couple of shows. There's the Rock Druid show on astroradio.earth. And there's the Sunday Rock show on BCFM Radio 93.2 FM. Bristol local radio station in the UK here. So, as always, this episode is me dragging 12 albums out of my substantial record collection and just chatting about them for a bit. So without further ado, we will kick off with this lot. Actually, glasses on first. Here we go. There's the front. This is from 1983. This is Cool Kids by US band Kicks. There's the front. There's the back. Atlantic Records. Neither in a sleeve or anything with this one. And again, I'll point out this sleeve, sometime over its career, before I got it, I picked up a little bit of sleeve damage. But as I keep saying, with my collection, I collect for the music, and provided the record's playable and in good nick, I'll overlook a little bit of sleeve damage. So, yeah, before anyone goes, "Oh, horrible." It is, but yeah, so what? Yeah, Kicks. Now, what can I say about Kicks? US kind of proto-hair metal in the first wave of the American glam sleaze movement, along with bands like Motley Crue, etc. Heavily influenced by, you know, some of the later sort of like bands like Aerosmith and Stars before them. Came out of Maryland, I believe, and yeah, they're okay. They're not a band that I've ever really kind of freaked out heavily about, but they've had their moments. This is their second album, the one of a number they released before they kind of managed to break big in the late 1980s on the back of the full-blown hair metal movement, and it's quite an interesting one. There's sort of like, I find this album a bit, there's some tracks I think are brilliant. I mean, the title cut, Cool Kids, absolute storming party anthem. It's a cover. I can't remember who did the original, but you know, it's a cracking track. Other high points, Get Your Monkeys Out, Restless Blood, Loco Emotion, pretty good. There are a couple of places like Mighty Mouth, Nice on Ice, where, you know, it maybe doesn't quite hit all the spots, but overall it's got more going for it than not. Some fine performances. Steve Whitman, lead vocal, also plays saxophone, which is quite unusual for well, any kind of metal band, having a saxophonist in the lineup. You know, but it can add something where needed, and so Steve Whitman plays sax on here. Yeah, and the lead guitars of Brad Forsyth and Brad Drivens are worthy of note. Overall, not bad. I can't really comment how good this is compared with other Styx releases. I've only got 2 albums, this one and one of their later ones, and you know, I'm not really a band I've explored that much. Maybe I should. Should I explore more Kicks? Yeah, answers in the comments below. So yeah, number 1, Kicks, Cool Kids, not bad. And now we have something interesting. Well, I think they're all interesting, but I like this one lots. There's the front. This is 2009's American Beauty, Social Stigma by a band called American Beauty. There's the front. There's the back. There's the disc. What lays behind the disc. Pop this out. There's a better look at the booklet. Then we have lyrics. Lyrics and band photos. With band members looking very Pulp Fiction. Funny, that's Alex Fezzi, the vocalist. Everyone else has got handguns, he's got an Uzi. Wonder what he's trying to say surreptitiously. More lyrics, etc. Not lyrics, that's the album credits. And on the back, from the man with the Uzi, a little post-it note saying, thanks for your support. Now, American Beauty are a Swiss band, or were. I don't think they're currently together, but these guys are a Swiss band out of Lucerne, and where the Hadron Collider is. And musically, they're coming from a similar wicket as Queens of the Stone Age, System of a Down, Static X, all those kind of bands. And as Switzerland's answer to that kind of music, these guys are pretty damn good. This album, Social Stigma, as far as I'm aware, it's the only thing the band have released. I may be wrong, again, correct me in the comments if I am. It's just a storming record. Ignoring the opening and closing little instrumental kind of cuts, the Greats of Roth Part 1 and 2, which are, sweet. It brackets the album really nicely, don't get me wrong, I'm not slagging those two little bits off. But this album is just a packed full of bangers. You've got cuts like Psycho Walls, Burn My Bridges, Into Deep, Twisted Mind, Why Did You Kill Me Today? It just goes on and on and on. It's intense. If you like your bands like Static X, etc., this is where these guys are. This is the wicket these guys are coming from. Insanely heavy in places, quite punky, but quite sort of groovy and dancey by equal measures. Now I don't know whether this is going to be available. For when I was doing my research for this week's episode, I was having a great deal of trouble finding information on the band anymore, so hence I presume they broke up. But overall though, if the band never do anything else, they've left a gem behind them. And if you can track down a copy for your own right, you'll probably love yourself forever for doing so. Social Stigma by American Beauty, 2009. Damn fine record. Now, on this week's edition, we have 2 doses of live hippie psychedelic rock acid spacey stuff. And this is the first one. There's the front. This is live Herald by Steve Hillage from 1979. There's the back. There's the full fold out if you're interested. A nice kind of interesting cityscape. And open this up, there's the inner sleeve. Steve Hillage himself, various members of his band, sleeve notes. Now, Steve Hillage, in my opinion, is one of the greatest rock guitarists. I have great trouble choosing a favourite guitarist. Yes, I tend to favour Carlos Santana, but whether he is the greatest guitarist on earth is my favourite, but whether he's the greatest guitarist on earth, I'm not going to say, because how can you compare someone like, Carlos Santana against KK Downing from Judas Priest, etc. different styles, different techniques. But it's interesting, in the UK, UK's produced 3 guys with the name Steve and the surnamed initial H that are guitar geniuses, all in the prog rock world. You've got Steve Hillage here, and of course Steve Hackett and Steve Howe. Just an interesting kind of coincidence, I think. But anyway, Steve Hillage's Live Herald 1979. It's not a full live album. You've got 3 live sides 1 to 3, recorded at various places like the Marquee Club, the Rainbow Theatre in London, Oxford Polytechnic over between 1978 and 1979. Then you've got a live side that was recorded at the Sawmill Studios in Foy down in Cornwall. Making for an interesting blend. The studio stuff is okay. Probably the highlight cut on there is 1988 Aviactor. You know, it's okay. New age synthesis, unzipping the Zype. Yeah, it's pretty good, but you know, compared with some of Steve Hillage's other kind of studio material, you know, I don't know, maybe because there's only kind of 4 tracks, playing time of about 20 minutes, it doesn't really kind of draw you in something like I can't remember any Steve Hillage solo albums. Albums like Green or something will do. However, the live material on here is absolutely storming. High point of which is got to be the live rendition at the end of the first side. It's a little kind of medley that goes the Dervish riff, Castle in the Clouds, and then into Hurdy-Gurdy Man. Now, Hurdy-Gurdy Man, Steve Hillage's version of the Donovan classic, and you know, it's the studio version, which I can't remember which album it's off, got it around here somewhere, is pretty impressive, but this live version is just to die for. Steve Hillage's playing is just amazing. The rest of the band, including Clive Bunker, the old Jethro Tull drummer, they're up there with him. And Hurdy-Gurdy Man finishes with this bit where they just double the speed of the riff every 8 bars, and it gets faster and faster and faster and faster. And you know, if you do it in the studio, great, because you can overdub, you can do retakes. They do it here, note perfectly live. Just an amazing piece of music to listen to, which I hopefully recommend that you do. Other high points, end of side 2, another classic, Electric Gypsy, and then you know, you've got the Lunar Music Suite and Meditation of the Dragon on side 3. All classic stuff, all Steve Hillage at his best. The band, besides Clive Bunker, it's and Andy Anderson on drums, John McKenzie on bass, or the ex-Green Slade, can't remember. Additional guitar by Christian Ball, keyboards by Martik Gurundy. Just I got a bit of a cold today. Just mind-blowing stuff. A good place to kind of explore Steve Hillage if you haven't really listened to him much before. So you know, go explore Steve Hillage. Live Herald 1979. Great album and a good place to start. Okay, next up, we'll have a bit of hardcore, post-hardcore, angercore, whatever kind of core you want to call it. This is Silent Treatment by the Bled, an album that is far from silent. There's the front, and this is 2007. There's the back. Pop it open. There is the disc. There's nothing of interest behind the disc. sort it out. We've got lyrics. We have artwork. Interesting that the band members are upside down and eyes blanked out. There's probably some kind of heavy significance in there in the lyrics somewhere. Or maybe it just seemed like a good idea at the time of the photo shoot. I know, or hang you upside down and blank your eyes. They're just credits, etc. Now, the Bled, one of the iconic US hardcore stroke post-hardcore bands, came out around about the same time as acts like Converge and yeah, the early AFI stuff. Only did about 4 albums, of which this is the 3rd. Broke up in 2012. Various band members are doing other things now. But the Bled are an interesting one. It was my missus that got me into these. Hadn't really heard much of them until we started seeing each other, and she introduced me to many bands, including the Bled. I like what I heard, and yeah, hence the reason I'm waving one in front of you now. They're interesting. They're kind of heavy. They're fast. But they're intelligent with it. You know, there's a lot of problems you can get with a lot of kind of extreme metal and punk subgenres, where you know you just sacrifice everything on the altar of speed and aggression. The Bled managed to keep control. They don't do that. Highlights on this album: Shade Tree Mechanics, The Starving Artist, Silver Lining, Some Just Vanished, Breathing Room Barricade, all good stuff. The performances on here, and I'm trying to remember who's actually performing on here, because although I like the band, I'm not really that much au fait on the ins and outs and personnel, etc. No, it doesn't actually say. I presume that they, you know, I think anyone's into the Bled should automatically know who does what role in the band. But anyway, you know, the vocals are rough, direct, they bark at you. The guitar slash like razor blades. The rhythm section pounds away like poundy bastards at a pound festival. And the result is just a glorious piece of angry, kind of metally, hardcore, punky noise. Not an album for the weak of heart, but those of you that may be interested in a bit of hardcore, Bled are a good band to check out. You know, along with bands like Converge, etc. I recommend the Bled. So yeah, 2007, Silent Treatment by the Bled. Pretty good. Okay, next up, an album by one of my all-time musical heroes. This is Test You Conceived by Robert Calvert, 1986, I believe. Anyway, there's the front. There's the back. Lyrics mainly. Yeah, 1986. Demi Monde Records. Quite an obscure old label, that one. Now, I find this quite a sad album. Because, A, it's not the best of Robert Calvert's solo work, and B, this was the final studio project he released before he died. After this, he was working with a reformed Amondal too, and on a record, but that was unfinished at the time of his death and wasn't completed by Amondal and released until, you know, after his demise. This album was Calvert's final solo work. I find, I won't say disappointing, because you know Calvert stuff is far from disappointing. It's interesting, but this is a very sparse, almost gothic, downbeat electronic album. He took the themes that he was doing on his Hype album musically and kind of darkened them up a bit, making for a kind of what these days, if this came out, this would be called something like dark synthwave or something like that. Calvert's vocals are very dour on here. He's got a, you know, the guy didn't have a great musical, you know, lyrical range. Of only about an octave the guy could actually hit in tune from his lowest to his highest, but he had a great deal of variation in expression, from kind of, you know, what's kind of maniacal laughter to quite serious sneering. And it's kind of dour, serious sneering that he uses his vocal approach on this album. You got cuts like In Vitro Breed, Telekinesis, Save Them from the Scientists, Test You Conceived, I Hear Voices, Fanfare for the Perfect Race. It's all down, kind of, you know, Test You Conceived, In Vitro Breed, that kind of vocal delivery. Gives the album quite a down kind of vibe. Maybe that's what he's going for, because this album talks about, as a concept, talks about man's relationship with machine. There's a track called Online, the earliest days of the internet. This time I showed them, I plugged in my modem, I went online and I stored all their data. I'll save it for later when I'm online. I'm an electronic hitman, the million-bit man. And when I'm online, I'm a computer hacker with a screen full of smackers. Yeah, you know, the internet wasn't very available back in 1986 when this came out. I know Robert Calvert was very interested in the early days of, you know, the net. Sadly, he never lived to see it reach its full potential. I'd love to have known what the guy would have come up with in the modern day and age, the genius that he was. But yeah, so I can't really complain that this is a bad album. Just that, you know, to me it's a sad album. The last release for one of my heroes, and within 18 months of this coming out, the guy was no more. But you know, quick mention, you got interesting, you got Martin Holcroft as a guitarist on here, not Steve Pond, who was his Robert Calvert's go-to live guitarist. Dave Anderson, the former Amondale and Hawkwind bass player, plays bass. And then the rest of it, Judy Waring on vocals, doing some backing vocals, and everything else is Calvert himself. Yeah, still available. Yeah, not the place to start listening to Robert Calvert, but an interesting one. If once you got through Captain Lockheed and you know, Hype, etc., interesting place to go next. Yeah, a sad album rather than a bad one. Test You Conceived, Robert Calvert. Rest in peace, mate. Okay, next up, a bit more prog, I think. And we'll have this. This is Underlinden by Underlinden. They're Argentinian. They play instrumental prog. Well, main instrumental prog. I think there's a couple of tracks in there that has some vocals on it. But that's it. There's how it folds out. I'll pull this out. Interesting that when I got this from the band, they sent me this. But just a blank CD. I don't know why I'm showing it for you, but they sent me the audio CD plus the MP3 WAV plus CD for the WAV files. So interesting stuff. And this is a booklet. And that's not a booklet. It hasn't got a booklet. Sorry. Got like a little inner package thing. And there's the disc. Now, one of the things that surprised me when I first discovered it was the fact that South America, especially Argentina, is a bit of a hotbed for prog rock. I've got quite a few these days, kind of Argentinian prog bands, but this is one of the first ones I stumbled across. And it opened a whole door of kind of musical kind of to explore for me. Excuse me, I just want to grab a gulp of fluid. Yeah, it opened the whole door of kind of musical stuff to explore. This album sounds very krautrock. Now, this is just me surmising, but I know that there's one of the biggest kind of ethnic groups within Argentina, besides the Welsh, is German, and you know, so there's still German-speaking areas of Argentina. So whether that's was an influence, you know, the krautrock in German had an influence on Argentinian music, I don't know. But whatever it is, this album is pretty damn good. You got I can't speak. All the three notes are in Spanish, and I can't speak Spanish, so I was going to tell you who played what, but I can say that Jorge Del Sin is a banjo, Roberto Medina, violin electrico y acústico, Iguana Scalesia is guitarra electrica y acústica, Mirimbo Garimbio is bateria efectios, and Gabriela Gonzalez is teclados. If you speak Spanish, and let me know who does what. I never have worked that out. I could have used Google Translate before I came on the show, but I'm lazy. But overall, this is pretty good. It's a nice, chilled out, relaxed piece of mainly instrumental prog rock. You got cuts like Linden. Now, Underlinden, of course, is another kind of German connection. It's I think it's a park in Berlin. But anyway, tracks like El Conducto, Graviacones is a beautiful, beautiful stripped back, chilled out kind of prog rock exploration. Trivion and Marcia. You know, I'm not going to be just saying random Spanish words for all you know, but believe me, each one of those is a bit of a gem of kind of some Latin prog rock with a kind of krautrock influence. They did another album after this, and I think there was a live EP, but I haven't heard anything from Underlinden for a good few years now, so whether they're still together I don't know. But when I was checking out the bit of background info for this show, I did notice that copies of this album are still available, so you know, various, you know, CD sale places. So if you like a bit of prog, go get it. It's rather cool. Yeah, Underlinden by Underlinden, 2006. Okay, next up, we're going to keep it sort of progressive, but completely change the style. This is the Last Legion, and their eponymous debut EP, and as far as I'm aware, the only thing the band ever released. There's the front. No, it's called Conspire, sorry, not the first one, I've just got Conspire up there. There's the back. And if I pop this out, yeah, there's the press release and the press sheet. Now, oh yeah, in case you're interested, there's the disc. Now, this came out 2013. The only thing that I'm aware that this band released. They were from southeast London, you know, Peckham area kind of sort of thing. And these guys are contemporary prog metal, djent type stuff. If you're thinking Periphery or Between the Buried and Me, then you're going to be in the right ballpark. They're in that kind of vein, and they're quite good at it, to be honest with you. It's not a genre of music that I'm overly struck on. You know, I'll listen to it, you know, and I couldn't quite enjoy it, but I tend to find a lot of djent stuff. It to me suffers from the yes syndrome, especially bands like Periphery. It can get so complicated and so involved in working out its mathematically repeating time signatures that it can strip the soul from the music and disappear up its own backside. These guys aren't quite that bad. They do manage to maintain themselves on the right side of listenable, thanks a lot to the vocals of vocalist Steve Kerr. The only one name that jumps out at me on this one is Chris Tyranny, who I think has since turned up in another UK band. But beyond that, I don't know who these guys are. Never seen them live. Just this is the only EP they ever released. Don't even know if this is still available. There's very little information about this band on the net these days, and it took me a bit of digging to dig out the few facts I've just given you. But overall, it's okay. Like I said, I can find a lot of djent inaccessible. This isn't quite that bad. Maybe 4 tracks on here. There's Guardian, Beak Breakers, Standing Like Still, Angels and Demands. The latter, Angels and Demands, is probably the standout cut. But overall, say if you like your Peripheries, Between the Buried and Me, etc., you're going to find this lot quite interesting. May take some digging down, or digging out, but you know, one for the collectors and the hunter-gatherers of the music scene. Yeah, Conspiracy by the Last Legion, 2013. Okay, next up, we're going to have a bit of new over British heavy metal. There's the front. This is The Bitter End by Excalibur. There's the back. Whip this out. Yeah. There's the basic photocopy press release that came with it. Now, Excalibur were a band, came out of Bradford up there in Yorkshire, in the UK. So this is 1986. This came out. Formed round about 1982 when the lads were only about 13, 14 years old. School heavy metal band that stuck with it. Yeah, and although this album maybe sort of purists will turn around and say it's a bit late to be new over British heavy metal, hey, the band were active on their local circuit for a good 4 years before this album came out. So yeah, I'll call it new over British heavy metal if you don't want to. Like I said, did a shed load of gigs, became hard-working young men around the Yorkshire area. Eventually got a bit of the success they deserved after a few demos. Released this. What label this is? Oh yeah, Conquest Records. The label that infamously gave us the Oral album. And it kind of got snapped up by, I can't remember the name. They got brought up by a bigger label after this. Did another album and an EP, and then kind of fizzled out. Shame, because they had a lot of potential. Their second album is a little bit more commercial. This has still got all that kind of rough, snotty-nosed, kind of street brat, new over British heavy metal sensibilities that make that whole genre so exciting. Come On and Rock is probably my favourite cut on here, just an out and out air punchy anthem. But I'm telling you, The Bitter Disguise, a bit of an attempt at an epic. The Bitter End, sorry. Devil in Disguise, Haunted by the Shadows. Every track on here is a bit of a banger. They're loud, they're nasty, they're snotty, they're in your face, they're very heavy metal. And yeah, pretty damn good. Got one of those covers where sometimes I look at it and think, wow, sometimes I look at it and think, what the fuck. But overall, again, it kind of lends itself. That cover does say dodgy, low budget, small label, new over British heavy metal to me. Hope it does to you too. Quite a collector's item, this one now. I've seen copies of this changing hands on eBay for, 15-20 quid. I think I grabbed mine for about a fiver for about 3 or 4 quid in the deletion track a few years ago. But not long after it came out. Whether it's worth that kind of money, I don't know. But collectors will probably tell you it is. So it's The Bitter End by Excalibur, 1986. For the new wave of British heavy metal collectors. God, I've got a dry throat today. Okay, now we're going to have something very obscure. Lessons in Evilution by Jack Glass. There's the front. There's the disc, and that's it. All that's on there is me writing out the track listing. Because while the track listing's on the disc, when I was in the radio studio, if the disc is in the disc CD player, I don't know what's on there, so I had to write it. Now, I got this dates from around about 2006 when I started on BCFM. One of the things I did, I just put out a mass appeal through, it wasn't even Facebook then, it was MySpace and various music sites, band hangout kind of places, asking for music from up and coming young bands. This lot responded. All I know is they were a band out of Glasgow, and this is metal of the old school. This is kind of it's a bit Priest, it's a bit Maiden, it's a bit Sabbath, a bit of Motorhead maybe. Recording in some local studio, a bit rough around the edges, but overall, it's heavy metal. Beyond that, I can tell you bugger all about the band. The band have disappeared without trace. All I could find when researching this episode is a few brief kind of mentions of this EP cover. So I'm not, and beyond that, I can't tell you who's in the band, what they did, anything else they released. Just that this is their one and only, as far as I know, the one and only EP. Yeah, and it's not bad. I mean, it's one of those ones that I kind of, let's see, there's a guy called Dave Geller on vocals, Andy McKinnon on guitar, Mark J. Mann on bass, David A. Crumish on drums. Who they are, I don't know. The music's pretty good. I told you it's very heavy metal. Cuts to look out for on here. There's a track called Past the Jack. It's a 7-track album. Past the Jack, Cold Heart, Book of Lies. All pretty good head-banging material. And it's a shame I can't tell you more. I'm not going to say this is going to be a collector's item because kind of I've got stacks of these kind of really obscure demos. But as a record of a band that, maybe I'm the only person on earth that remembers. I hate to think that, but maybe I am. It's worth having, and actually musically it's worth listening to. So if you do ever find yourself looking at a copy of this in a charity shop or wherever, grab it, because it's a bit of a gem. Yeah, from around about 2006, Lessons in Evilution by Jack Glass. Okay, next up, a bit more vinyl. This is Beyond the Astral Skies by Hillage, John Roth and the Electric Sun. There's the front. There's the back. And I'll slip this out. There's Hillage himself looking very hippie with his candles. And there's the candles without Hillage. And another quick sort of tie-in with the Steve Hillage album we looked at earlier. Drummer on this is Clive Bunker, Extra Hotel, a Steve Hillage band. Now, Hillage John Roth, as you probably know, ex-Scorpions guitarist. He replaced the young Michael Schenker when Michael Schenker left after the first couple of albums, and was their kind of go-to lead guitarist right through till late 1970s, when kind of he went his way and Scorpions went theirs, and he formed this band called Electric Sun with a kind of very hippie remit. Musically, the guy is exploring. I've got a couple of his albums now, including this one. He explores kind of that kind of area between kind of sort of Santana with a bit of Hendrix thrown in, Mahavishnu Orchestra kind of material. It's got elements of jazz rock, it's elements of kind of psychedelia. Yeah, it's just an interesting kind of quite trippy album. Now, what makes this particular copy interesting is, if I whip the actual disc out, the labels are on the wrong sides. But it says, where it says this side, it actually means this side, which can be confusing when you're playing it unless you remember that the labels are swapped. Not saying that makes it rare, just saying it makes it interesting and confusing. Other people on here of note include Nicky Moore, the Samson vocalist, guesting on a couple of tracks, and loads of people kind of that are quite big in the sort of German jazz and psychedelic world. Overall, makes for a damn good album. The opening cut, The Night the Master Comes, absolutely, you know, it's heavy, but it's kind of trippy heavy, if you know what I mean. You've got the closing cut, Son of Sky, soaring operatic vocal with a guitar line to match. Icebreaker on the River, Angel of Peace, lovely chilled out little number. Overall, pretty good. Should still be available on CD or digital, should you want to look it up, because Hillage John Roth's still going, as is Electric Sun. So yeah, go give it a listen, give him a check out. You know, to me, he's a highly underrated guitarist that deserves to have more kind of acknowledgement. So, especially all you guitar players out there, go listen to Hillage John Roth solo. You won't regret. Okay, going to keep it German and hippie for the next one, and we'll have this. This is Heroes of the Past by Soniq Theatre, or Soniq Theatre. There's the front. There's the back. There's the disc. Yep, it's just a home produced jobby. Now, our Soniq Theatre is the solo project of a guy called Alfred Müller, Hanover based, or Stuttgart, somewhere in Germany anyway, and he's a keyboard player, multi-instrumentalist, bit of a Jan Hammer kind of vibe to him. Was in a couple of bands, the names of which escape me, but he was in a couple of German prog bands in the 1980s, and then since then he brings out, every January he brings out a new album, and then when the album's out, he then works on writing and producing the next one. Does most of it himself. I think on this one he is playing everything himself. Sometimes he has sort of guest appearances. Sometimes he has vocals. This one's purely instrumental. This is his 14th album, came out in 2014. The first one came out in 2012. And if you sign up to his mailing list, he'll send you one free every year. And it's great. You know, you can, oh, it's a donation, sorry, you donate to buy one every year. But overall, his music's great. He's got a great kind of vision. I'm not saying everything he does is genius. It's not. But everything he does with a kind of purity of spirit and heart that kind of rings through in his music. You know, the guy's not trying to bullshit anybody. He's just, he is getting, you can tell by the exuberance of his playing that he just gets a hell of a kick out of writing and making this music and sharing it with the world. And it's just infectious. A lot of his stuff is kind of loosely conceptual. This is called Heroes of the Past, and it talks about kind of childhood heroes that he loved. You know, he talked about Robin Hood, Richard the Lionheart, Christopher Columbus, the Maharajas, Uther Pendragon, the Littlest Cowboys, etc. It's just a sweet. There's 12 sweet doses of some fantastic keyboard-led progressive rock synth workouts. The krautrock influence is strong on this one, Young Skywalker, but you know, he's a German synth player. What do you expect? Yeah. So overall, you know, check this guy out. He's got a Bandcamp page. He's got a MySpace, Facebook page, and that. A lot of his stuff's available for donation downloads. He's even got his own website, Soniq Theatre, www.sonictheatre.de, where again you can download and stream his entire back catalogue. And you know, if you like a bit of prog, do yourself a favour, go check him out. He's a nice guy as well that deserves everyone's support and love. So salute to Alfred Müller, aka Soniq Theatre. Great stuff. Brings us on to our last one, and a bit more hippie double live work. Here we go. Live Chronicles by Hawkwind. Again, this is 1986, I believe. Yes, it was 1986. I was there on the tour, you know, young man. Yeah, there's the front. There is the back. Those horrible time when GWR records were using polythene in the sleeves. They do not help static build up on the off-event static build up on the vinyl. Yeah. Live Chronicles by Hawkwind. In my opinion, the last truly great Hawkwind album. The last truly great standout Hawkwind album was probably Chronicles of the Black Sword, 1985. Sprawling concept work written in conjunction with fantasy writer Michael Moorcock that kind of told the story of the Elric cycle of books. They toured it and on the tour this was recorded. Don't know exactly where it was recorded, it just says at various dates on the Chronicle of the Black Sword Tour 1985. And considering I saw them on 2 dates in there, Cardiff and Bristol. Days when I used to go to see multiple Hawkwind gigs on tour. These days I don't even go see Hawkwind on tour because I think they lost the plot. But you know, there's every chance I'm on this album somewhere. The tour itself was absolutely stunning, with like the stage built up like a giant castle with dragons and back projected skeletons and dancers fighting with swords and all this, that and the other. Just amazing performance, amazing show, all the lasers going and everything. And this basically is the entire set recorded throughout, minus the encores. Opening up with Song of the Swords. It's mainly the guts from the Chronicle of the Black Sword album, with other kind of sort of Hawkwind tracks worked into the plot. Like I said, you've got Angels of Death in here, Rocky Paths, Master of the Universe, Choose Your Masks, The Lords of Chaos, yeah, Magno, etc. Interestingly, there's a couple of tracks on here that were written for the Chronicle of the Black Sword Tour. Primarily Moonglum, what's the other one? I can't think what the other one is. Oh, the Wizards of Pantang, written for the album, but never actually put on the Chronicle of the Black Sword album, and only exists in the live format on this record. Performances are great. Recording's not bad, not the best recorded live album you'll ever come across, but you know, it's not unlistenable by any means. Performances are first rate. Hugh Lloyd Langton, the late great Hugh Lloyd Langton on guitar, absolute genius of a player. Met them, you got to know the guy quite well as well. Lovely geezer. You know, you got the rest of the band to find. The rhythm section on this one is Alan Davey and Danny Thompson. Absolutely superb interplay. Harvey Bainbridge on keyboards. Got to add Dave Brock in, of course, on guitar, synths and vocals. And you know, just a damn good performance. A classic live album from a classic live tour. Sadly, like I said, this marks the end of the Great Hawkwind, as far as I was concerned. The follow-up album to this scene on Codex is pretty good, but then, you know, then starts the long slide into oblivion, which Hawkwind are still on to this day. And you know, believe me, I saw Hawkwind a couple of times over the last few years. They are not even a shadow of the band they were, and so therefore it upsets me seeing Hawkwind these days. It actually physically hurts when I remember what they were and the kind of shuffling ghosts of what they are now. You know, I have made a conscious decision to you know, ignore the fact that modern Hawkwind exist and treasure when they were great. Yeah, I think this one's still available. If not, it's had several reissues, so yeah, second-hand copies will be easy to pick up. And yeah, do yourself a favour. The last great Hawkwind album, truly great Hawkwind album, Live Chronicles, 1986. So that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you want to give me feedback on any of those particular albums, correct any errors that I've made, comments are down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. Also, I put up yesterday, a quick guide to any musicians out there that are looking for radio airplay. A few bits and a few tips you can do to kind of help you expand your band's influence on going on for radio kind of thing. So if you're interested, check that out. And in the meantime, check out the radio shows and hit like and subscribe if you like, and helps boost the algorithm, gets the word around. And so until next week, peeps, loves every single last ones of you, and from me, him and him, I'm out of here. Bye.